Are people not aware about Unit 731? The Western world doesn't teach Japan's WW2 atrocities as much as Germany's. You'd probably find the opposite situation in the East. I assume the nations who suffered from Imperial Japan viewed them the same way Europe views WW2 Germany. I was made aware few days ago, when watching recommendation for horror films. Check out Man Behind the Sun, 1988. It depicts what was happening there. Disclaimer. Real hardcore stuff there. Are people not aware about Unit 731? I'm 52 years old, and until I googled this moments ago, I was not aware of it. I suspect, given that I went 52 years without ever hearing of it, that most people are similarly unaware. There's definitely a lot of people that aren't really that aware of it. Then again, most people aren't really familiar with the Pacific Theater other than, we won after we dropped 2 nukes. Whoa. Thanks. Kind of. I had never heard of this unit. Having visited the medical facility in Auschwitz and read extensively about the experimentation that took place, I would not make comparisons of one extreme horror and crime against humanity being worse than another. But this paragraph as to why it is less well known is horribly fascinating. While Unit 731 researchers arrested by Soviet forces were tried at the December 1949 Khabarovsk war crime trials, those captured by the United States were secretly given immunity in exchange for the data gathered during their human experiments. 6. The United States covered up the human experimentations and handed stipends to the perpetrators. 1. The Americans co-opted the researchers' bioweapons information and experience for use in their own biological warfare program, much like what had been done with Nazi German researchers in Operation Paperclip. Between 1900 and 2000, 100 million civilians were killed by their government using their military. The number of deaths might be twice that much. I only know about it because of Slayer's song about it. Much like the rape of Nanking, it was swept under the rug by the US because they wanted Japan as an ally. Just informed my wife about this last week. She had no idea how that could ever happen. I told her it's safe to assume that whatever heinous and maniacal acts you could possibly imagine, it's been done to people and worse. I was never taught about it in school. I only found about it when watching a WW2 documentary on YouTube. I'm not sure whether Unit 731's crimes were way worse than Auschwitz. But I do know that Imperial Japan's crimes were way worse than just Unit 731. It seems a bit ethically dubious to fixate on that one thing and ignore the rest. But beyond that, it will really depend on where you go and who you ask. The teaching of history is a complicated subject. I have found that Germans know a great deal about the rise of Nazism and Nazi crimes against humanity leading up to and during the Second World War, but nothing about the First World War or Germany's part in it. It is an odd experience to have a whole group of German friends in Germany ask me as an American to explain it to them. Whereas Japanese people generally don't seem to learn anything about Imperial Japan or the Second World War. Often they do not seem to even know that there is anything missing in their education. The 1930s were a quiet time in East Asia, you know. And of course any American who has been exposed to a broad section of their own country has learned how differently different Americans are educated depending on where they are from. Heck, my wife learned more in the UK about African American history than many people in the US do. All in all, a complicated thing. Wow, just looked this up now and watched a video. Didn't know this happened. I'm gonna guess the US government didn't really want people to know they offered immunity to those they captured from Unit 731 in exchange for the data they gathered. To be honest with you, I think it's definitely because it wasn't in Europe. The Camo Detachment Ishi Unit. Thumbs up light skin tone. I've heard of it, looked it up and read about, but at my age I've forgotten and have to look it up again. Was this in Japan? Many people are not. There have been so many atrocities and most folks I talk to are not interested in learning about the macabre details of each one. They know bad things happened and leave it at that. Life is hard enough. I'm interested in dark things, but I totally understand not wanting that information living in your brain. That being said, the last podcast on the left did a very in-depth series on Unit 731 that I highly recommend if you're looking for more info on it. Despite the severity of their crimes, the researchers involved in Unit 731 were not prosecuted for their actions, as the United States granted them immunity in exchange for the data they had gathered during their experiments. This has led to the unit being relatively unknown compared to other atrocities committed during World War II. I don't know about it. Care to tell me more? I suspect that there is a combination of the Cold War, Sino-racism, and general European focus in education, culture.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.